So this has been a buzz phrase in this market for a long period of time. As you all know, I covered the Leafs as their radio host for a couple seasons. And after every playoff loss, it was the same thing, killer instinct. We got to get some, we got to find a way. Dare I say we're on the path where this team has finally developed some killer instinct? Because I've seen it the last couple games, Rosie.
I mean, maybe. I don't think it's a done deal because having a killer instinct isn't getting your ass handed to you for 2.5 periods. I'm sorry, it's not. Finishing the game and having your back against the wall and being down and coming back relentlessly to the point where you pull off a win. Sure, absolutely. They've done that a few times now, and it is a great character trait to have. It's not one you want to rely on too much, but the killer instinct to me is when you come out, you start the game with your best stuff, you hem them in their zone, you overwhelm them, you steal the momentum right away, you step on their throat, you get the lead, and you hold the lead, and you end the game, and you finish it. And that's killer instinct to me. They haven't shown that yet, but the fact that they don't have that top to bottom game killer instinct going on and they're ahead 3-1 is a good sign. You get rid of that sloppy, it's not even sloppy play, it's just like stunned. It's like they're just stunned and they're frantic and they don't even know what the hell. They're just getting overwhelmed by the other team, and that none of their systems are even relevant. You can't even get possession long enough to show your identity because you're getting overwhelmed, and that can't happen. But we know what this team, this Jekyll and Hyde team, when they do have their best, they are exactly that. They are the overwhelming team. They are making other teams frantic. They are hemming them in their zone. They are in complete control, and you need to be able to access that more. And if they're able to access that more moving forward, I will say, yeah, that's that killer instinct, absolutely. But I don't think they're quite there yet, and I don't think they need to rest on their laurels because this series isn't even over.
I love how Sheldon Keefe was pulled after the game about killer instinct, and he played stupid, had no idea, and he said, like, he pretty much looked around it. He didn't want to answer the question because I get it; it's still 3-1 in the series, but you're starting to see a lot
Yeah.
of the things that we haven't seen in the past. That's all I'm getting to, right? They find a way. They
Yep.
didn't play great in Game 3. They find a way. Game 4, they were dead to rights, down 4-1. They find a way. I think that's a part
Yep.
of having killer instinct and knowing when it's time to rise up and get the job done. That's why you look at Matthews, you look at Ryan O'Reilly, you look at those types. Like their DNA's been all over this series. Nola Chari scored another big time goal. Like this is why they went out there and grabbed some of these guys, and they've been absolute monsters. And what do a lot of these guys have in common? Obviously, a guy like Ryan O'Reilly, right? He's won a Conn Smythe, he's won a Stanley Cup, he's won pivotal games, and he has that killer instinct.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, the DNA is all over this team right now. The additions that we've got, Samsonov in the summer, he's been huge for this team all year
Yeah.
long. And, they had this knock on he's no good in the playoff. Again, that was the bubble. That was the COVID years. Like, this guy's a young first rounder that they just said, see you later to. Shit, we scoop him up and hope there's an upside there. And there certainly was. He's a huge part of it. Ryan O'Reilly, Luke Schenn, like Schenner's getting 10 hits a game, part of the better D pairing out there. Logging some better minutes and just being really effective. That leadership in the locker room, I don't think can even be measured, but it's huge. And yeah, Ryan O'Reilly, his pedigree. I mean, you can just see it on the bench from watching. Can you imagine that guy's presence? Going out onto the ice before the game, getting your shit on in the locker room while everyone's kind of saying a couple things. Like when he speaks, guys, it carries a lot of value. And then he just backs it up with his on ice performance, and that's a huge reason they're in this position. Again, yeah, that the teams of late of the past where they get in that position, they don't pull that off. They don't get that
Mm-hmm.
job done. They don't get the big save. They don't get that big goal. They don't get that big momentum shift. They just don't. They don't have it. They get run out of the barn physically. I mean, Achari had, I can't remember the stats someone rattled off about him, but geez, he's quietly a force out there, and he's producing exactly what you need quietly from that, bottom six type of guy. And those guys are all, you put all that into a blender, man, and it just produces wins, and they're getting them. And like I said, I think the best part of their game hasn't even shown yet, except for maybe game 2, but you start channeling into that and you're going to go on a run.